Good morning, Internet Serfs. This is the Veritasia Ministries Veritasian Embassy report for, I believe it's Friday. Yeah, Friday, June 20th, 2014. Okay. Today I want to make a very specific response to my old friend Bryan Mize, Bryan the White of the Shackling Nation. Okay. Basically, I don't know when, if ever, he's going to see this, but we had an interesting private exchange by email the other day that prompted me to immediately get on board YouTube and, basically like the next hour of a lecture scolding him as to why I didn't want to use scripted presentations. Today I'm going to change that a little bit, because there is a difference, and this all has to do with the way I am being trained. Okay, this all has to do with the way I'm being trained as a marketing expert. I'm being trained as a theologian at the same time, and not just as an internet marketer, but in order to establish an internet presence overall. Okay, because I consider the internet to be my, all right, bottom line, I consider the internet to be my pulpit. So, even though this is originating out of my home, you have to, I'm speaking in public, literally I'm speaking in public every time I do one of these broadcasts. Okay, so, the criticism was raised, and I understand Bryan intended this in love. Okay, the criticism was raised that, well, look, Fox, people have short attention spans. They've been trained by, they've been trained by commercials. They've been trained by MTV, One, whatever. People have short attention spans, and if you don't hook them with the first 5 minutes of any given presentation, they're gone. Okay, I recognize that. The problem is that, first of all, I'm not here on YouTube to make money. Okay, that may sound like a paradox at first. You have to understand that before I know how to make money on YouTube, I need to be able to give them money, as in give the management of YouTube, the government of YouTube, money. Okay? Problem being that YouTube itself, being an international company, is a 900-pound gorilla. They're not going to be interested in small amounts of money. Okay? So, effectively, I'm not doing any marketing on YouTube to, quote-unquote, close the sale. All right? I'm not here to close sales. I'm here to actually fulfill one of my Empower Network 8-hour commitments, one of those commitments, which is to blog every single day. Okay, I feel more comfortable blogging on video than I do, just blogging by text, because video is a warmer medium, right? People get to see my face, they get to understand things like my speaking style, etc., etc., etc. Okay, whether they're finding me boring or not is another question. It's another problem. It's a variable I don't have any control over until I learn the skill set to do that. Okay, so basically this is why I practice making my blogs completely unscripted, because basically I feel like I'm getting in the Holy Spirit's way to a certain extent. if I'm using a to get from point A to point Z. Okay, there is another time to use a script, and I'm about to prove it to you. There's another time to use a script, and I'm about to prove it to you. Yes, I repeated myself again. Okay, I repeated myself again because I want to emphasize this point. The time to use a script is after you actually develop the information. Why? Because scripts are made of paper. Therefore, they are what I call hard paper law. Okay, if you're going to follow a script, then you need to cover, basically every point that is in that script, and I'm about to prove it to you. This is a script that I developed from the very first video I ever put up on YouTube. Okay, it more or less exactly duplicates everything I was actively trying to say as a result, as an objective result of what I put up in that video. Okay, I said it at the time, but I said it in a different way, and I didn't actually script it out when I said it. Okay, but here is an example of what happens when I'm reading from a script, and basically it's not that I'm expecting to have problems with making the presentation. No, that's not my point. That's not my point. Basically, I want to get the information out there with all of the mistakes in it intact before even I know what I was really saying. Okay, I want to take the risk of going public, being transparent, and making the mistakes first, before I know what I was trying to say, and then I can go back, because it's a piece of objective content that is going to stay there. Okay, then I can go back and take it apart and put into the script I was trying to say. Okay, so let me just read the statement. All right. The date of the first YouTube video that I ever did, self-produced YouTube video that I ever did, basically, was Sunday, June 2nd, 2013. Okay. I was excited because I had just learned how to connect my ClickVoyager traffic exchange account into YouTube. Okay. The next thing I found out was that I need to learn how to make an autoresponder work. Okay. The reason I made the video was that I wanted to raise the point. Okay, the title of the video is "But WordPress Does It for Free and Other Wussy Excuses." Okay, you can look it up now. You can look it up now if that's where you want to go. Okay. But I wanted to make the point that there is a difference in marketing between personal or free internet sites and business sites. Okay? The principle is that advertising always costs money. Okay? Advertising always costs money to someone, not necessarily to you. There are techniques for doing free advertising, and frankly, I'm doing free advertising right here. How just by producing this video today, I'm doing free advertising. Why? It's going to get me traffic. Okay, I had an interesting response to a video that I made months and months and months ago, the subject of which was my ordination. Okay, and this was just a very mild response by a single individual who had chosen to react and share my video on Google. Okay, and he brought up the point that, you know, it's God that ordains. Okay, it's God that calls people into the ministry. It's Lord God who ordains. All right. At the end of the day, the piece of paper means nothing. Okay. And I don't know whose attention he was trying to bring that to, but you know, presumably my attention. And the point is, he shared the video on Google. Okay, that result I've never had before. So that's actually traffic. Okay, but anyway, the other thing I was on about in the first video was I was tired of the sheer volume of comments that I was getting from critics of the Empower Network to basically say, well, I know that Empower Network is a con job, and the evidence I'm using as my thesis statement for the idea that Empower Network is a con job is that, quote unquote, they are selling a $25 a month package, something that, quote unquote, WordPress gives away for free. I wanted to dispel that myth. Okay? I wanted to dispel that myth. There is a difference between a personal and a business site. Okay? And, you know, with all due respect to Bryan, let's just look at the different levels of exchange that had to happen for this video right here to come into existence. Okay, first of all, you and I had to make a personal exchange. Okay, I'm not going to share the exact contents of a private email. That doesn't make any sense. All right, but because you are a formal member of my congregation, because you are a formal member of my ministry, you of all people need to understand that there's a methodology to the way I work. Okay, there's a methodology to the way I work, and you know, basically, don't criticize the work until you know not necessarily everything about what I'm trying to do, because I can't present everything I'm trying to do all at once. I can't do that consciously. Okay, God put me in the middle of something that's too big for me just to be able to remind me that He's God. Okay, yeah, that's the whole thing. No matter what I do objectively on the internet, there is such a thing as like time compression on the internet, that unless you understand, you know, certain things about the differences between, you know, an objective statement and a subjective statement, for example, okay, time compression can kick you in the butt. Time compression can kick you in the butt. I actually demonstrated this, and I will go into this more concisely in other videos. But anyway, that's not the point I wanted to make. People who are not members of the Empower Network, remember, I call the Empower Network the Archmages of Cash. I call them the Mages Guild. There is a reason for this. They have a specific role inside Veritasia Ministry. Okay. not necessarily because I'm trying to make every Empower Network member into a, quote unquote, into a Christian or into a disciple of Veritasia. The reason I call them the Mages Guild, the Archmages of Cash, okay, is I have a very specific rank for people who make the cross connect between Veritasia Ministries and the Empower Network. Okay, right now, that situation is, I'm struggling with the fact that there are parts of the ministry that I want to make them for Christians only. Okay, that's the ethical tension that I'm dealing with. Is basically, yeah, I'm gonna have customers all over the place, but here's where the lines get blurry. The question is, when I'm doing this presentation, Bryan, am I marketing? Okay, am I preaching? Am I marketing? Am I preaching? Am I trying to get traffic? What am I trying to do? Okay, well, at a personal, individual level, the only thing I know for sure that I'm trying to do is I'm trying to blog. Okay? The only thing I know that I'm trying to do right now is I'm trying to make the daily blog entry so that I have objective evidence that is going to stay up there about where I'm going. Okay? So anyway, people who are not members of the Empower Network do not know what the Empower Network teaches. Period. Bang. End of discussion. Okay? They do not know what Empower Network teaches. Okay? So that goes back to the whole judge not lest you be judged. Don't judge without all the facts kinds of criticism. Okay? Criticisms of an ignorant wussy. And yes, I'm going to use the same way Empower Network uses it, which is a wussy is a person who chooses to criticize rather than to take self-responsible action. That is the definition of a wussy. All right? As a principle, does not matter whether you believe that applies to Empower Network. It applies to life, period. Okay? You are not going to succeed with anything you're not all in with. Okay? You are not going to succeed with anything you are not all in with. Okay? I can call Yoda on you and say, do or do not, there's no try. That's a principle. Okay? Because the whole question of trying something, okay, there's nothing wrong with trying to do something, trying an experiment, but you have to, okay, the relationship between trying and intentionality is something you have to really, really, really test out objectively. Okay, you have to take an objective attitude to try. Okay, if you're trying to bake a cake, okay, well, let me back up. The difference between subjective and objective thinking is important here. Okay, if you start a process and you say, I'm going to try a new recipe. I'm going to try to bake a cake. Okay, I'm going to try to bake a cake of a kind that, say, I've never tasted before. Okay, you know the objective. The objective is to actually get the objective is to actually get the cake done. Okay, right? Well, let me show you. There's a difference between saying to yourself, I'm going to try to bake this cake, and the objectivity of actually following the recipe. What does that mean? That means you have to gather up all the ingredients, okay? And basically you have to put them in to the cake in the certain order in which mentioned in the recipe that you need to put them in. Okay? But the thing is, if you don't have one of the ingredients, then you're going to fail. If you do not have one of the ingredients, you're going to fail. There are ways around that. People do substitutions of ingredients all the time. I'm just saying, that's the difference between training and what I'm learning to call absolute intention. Okay? An absolute intention says, I'm going to do this, period. No way around it. No excuses. I'm going to do this, period. Boom. Okay? Absolute intentionality is very powerful. Anyway, people who are not members of the Empower Network do not know what we teach in the discussion. The Money for Nothing blog, by the way, is still up there. It's going to stay up there, folks. It's going to stay up there. I use it as a traffic generation tool, not necessarily a money generation tool, because what I've always believed, whatever I learn about mass marketing dynamics, what I've always believed is that ethically, a person should never, ever, ever pay me until they trust me. Okay. Now there are ways, and I'm learning this all the time. I'm learning how to get past the whole time compression barrier in the internet. There are ways to use the internet to develop trust. Okay, because trust is the foundation of any good, and by good I mean ethical, absolutely ethical. Nobody's being conned about anything. You're actually getting, okay, in the best marketing, you're literally, in a spiritual sense, and in an objective sense as well, there's a principle called over-delivery. Okay, there's a principle called over-delivery, and what over-delivery is eventually, as a marketer, you get to the point that you literally want to pack in more value for the money than you are receiving in dollars. Okay, has Empower Network done that? Damn straight, I believe they've done that. Okay, damn straight, I believe they've done that. Look at how much theology I'm able to get out of their principles. All right, but that's kind of a private joke. But anyway, I choose not to take donations because what I want to do is I want to build my particular ministry on a different model. I'm not a 501c3. Okay, so I don't start out from the proposition that I'm, quote, begging anybody for money. Eventually, there's a whole other question about, how can you support the ministry monetarily without joining the business? If I do that, I'm going to be very careful about doing that. I may create separate legal entities to be, quote unquote, the 501c3 or whatever. They may not even carry the name Veritasia Ministries. But see, the thing is, in human terms, all that money will be coming to me. But here's the thing. I'm using the business not just as a matter of generating my own income. You have to consider the ministry as being the pet project, so to speak, that I will throw the money at when I get it. Okay? So basically, whether I succeed or whether I fail is going to be about, do people trust me? Okay? And I'm telling people, do not become a customer until you realize that by being a customer, you're effectively a member of my congregation. Okay? You're effectively a member of my congregation. We haven't even gotten to whether you're a Christian or not, but that's the bottom line, is nobody's going to become my customer unless they begin to believe in at least some of my ideas. In other words, they begin to trust me. Okay, so in a marketing sense, for example, being a sold-out Christian is what's called a primary bias. Okay, you don't have to share my primary biases, theologically. Theology has to do with how you, literally how you define God. Which is some people say that's a hopeless process. But anyway, how you define God, or what kind of symbols you're using to describe the nature of God. Let's put it that way. I like crossing lines between religious and scientific terms. Okay, but basically, theology has certain assumptions about the nature of the universe. What my being a soul Christian has to do with this in a marketing sense is that's one of my primary biases. Okay? That's one of my primary biases. See, you can take that objectively. You can take that politically. You can take that sociologically. Okay? And in principle, what I mean about being emotionally transparent is that I'm giving you my primary biases up front. Okay, so if you're a non-Christian, you know anything at all about what, at least about what you believe is going to, uh, piss off somebody with a primary Christian bias. Okay, then you want to piss me off or you don't. I'm telling you, don't try to do business if you want to piss me off. Just don't do it. Don't do it. If you don't trust me, don't do it. Okay. That's just my personal framework. But that here I am preaching again, and that's not what I intended to do. Anyway, where were we? Oh yeah, the money for nothing blog, which, like I said, it's still up there. Okay, it's a Google Blogger Blogspot blog. Okay, the money for nothing blog was up for 10 years and more before I actively joined Empower Network, and it never made any money. Okay, what Empower Network knows that most of the public ignores, or there are myths and conditioning that basically keep this subconscious, and for most people keep this conflicted. Okay, what Empower Network knows, and knows how to teach you how to get a hold of, that making money is a mindset. Okay, it's an attitude. It's an attitude where you're looking for certain objective results, and if you don't get them, you do something else. Okay. It's an attitude where you're looking for certain objective results, and if you do not get them, then you go and do something else. Okay, making money is an insight. The next point, I want to purchase the 15K formula. Okay, that's just a personal all-in decision for me. Is it a recommendation, the 15K formula? Yes, it is. Is it potentially a way for me to make money? Well, if people are following this presentation, which I assume they're not, okay, I assume they're not because I'm making the presentation before I have traffic, objectivity again. Okay, I have a very small audience right now. I need to work on the time compression of getting a trusted audience. There is a function for everything I'm ignoring as well as everything I'm actually using. That's one of the things I'm discovering. But I'm closer to the whole automatic money question. I'm closer to the whole automatic money question than I was when I started. That's part of what Infinite Network is teaching. Okay, you have to build trust before you can make money. And there are certain things that you can learn how to do in, for example, the objective way you're coding things on the internet that are going to contribute to trust that will eventually lead to the closing of sales. Okay, that's the equation. That's the relationship. I want to purchase the 15K formula. The no refund policy in Power Network, and here's the other thing, is there are no refunds in Veritasia Ministries either, which is why I'm hesitant about taking quote-unquote charitable contributions. Don't just throw money at me to throw money at me. Okay? Right now, if you want to support Veritasia Ministries, buy my products. Period. Okay. The no refunds policy to Empower Network and applies to Veritasia Ministries 2 is designed to keep the wussies out. Okay. Again, we're defining a wussy as a know-nothing critic. We're defining a wussy. Okay, in terms of Christian theology, a wussy is someone who has taken the bait to make a judgment prior to objectively knowing what they're talking about. Okay? A wussy is someone who gives offense because they have not learned the art and the science of taking in offense. Okay? That's a wussy Christian. Okay? That's a wussy Christian. Joyce Meyer, one of my favorite theologians of all time. Joyce Meyer, okay, spends an entire career beating up on wussy Christians because she's about helping people who already know the Lord Jesus Christ to grow up into the principles of this is how you learn to depend on God rather than taking offense. Okay, just as one foundational principle of hers. Okay, can you be a Christian and a marketer at the same time? Okay, Danny Johnson. Of course, you can be a Christian and a marketer at the same time. Okay, this is a person who is on fire for God. There is a revolution. You know, the name it and claim it folks used to talk about uh, about wealth transfer. About literally God being willing to put material wealth, being willing to put money into the hands of his explicit servants rather than leaving it all to the sinner. Okay, now there are purposes and purposes for that. Um, there are principles. There is an extent to which, um, you know, on the one hand, I'm very critical of name it and claim it theology because part of the problem is that people are taught to apply the principle of name it and claim it, okay, for example, without reference to whether they have the skill set to develop the wisdom to hold on to the blessing that they're looking for. Okay, part of the problem with treating name and claim it as an exclusively Christian thing or an exclusively spiritual thing, okay, is that in order to claim something in the way that works, you need to be prepared to take action once you've declared an absolute intention. Okay? That is a principle, whether you like it or not, is a principle that God will honor regardless of your theological framework. Okay, I'm talking back to my Christian friends again. Regardless of your theological framework, God will honor an absolute intention. He will give you the desires of your heart. Okay? If you're, because the thing is, you're seeking the real God every time you set up an intentionality in those absolute terms. Every time you set up every time you set up to say, literally, here is the oath. Okay. Every time you set up to say, by all that is holy, I am going to do this. Okay? That is an example of absolute intentionality. Okay, so the no refunds policy is designed to keep this out, period. Veritasia, as a ministry, we want to work for the transformation of copyright and intellectual property law. The purpose behind that is I want to see more people who are able to create more derivative works and stop the war of art. Okay, we'll get into the war of art in other videos. Stop the war of art. I want to see people able to create more derivative works and potentially able to make money from them in an ethical fashion. Okay? part of the problem with copyright the way it was originally defined in history, okay, copyright the way it was originally defined in history was that it was built to, eventually to keep track of the increasing means of production in an industrial age culture. We have now passed from the industrial age into the information age. Okay? We have now passed to a place where real information, defined as information that is not spun by propaganda. Okay? Because the thing is, any information anywhere carries a call to action in it somewhere. Okay? So, the nature of developing information is that you have to understand the opening biases of the people who put it out there, okay, before you understand about anything about what to do with it. Okay? You see how dangerous and challenging this is getting real quick? Okay? When I started this ministry, okay, I was not out to start a ministry, I was out to start a business. Okay. First of all, I was not out to start a ministry, I was out to start a business. But when I started this ministry, I've documented the fact that there are so many legal barriers in what I call hard paper law, objectively produced information. Every time you put something on paper, you developed hard paper law. Okay? The soft law comes from just letting the spirit operate. For example, the process of natural speaking. Okay, so yeah, I'm off script. Yes, I'm too long all over again. But I'm trying to teach as much as possible as a way of over delivering. Okay, as a way of over delivering. I have no traffic yet. I know how to get traffic. I don't necessarily know how to get traffic to YouTube. I need to solve other parts of the money piece before I can, quote unquote, get traffic to YouTube or even become effective on YouTube. Okay. An effective transaction with YouTube is, for example, when I am ready to spend money as an advertiser, okay, using YouTube's methods to get YouTube traffic to YouTube videos. That's when I can close the sale. Okay, using YouTube methods to get YouTube traffic to YouTube videos. Okay, there's a catch to that. I have to be prepared to give money to the government of YouTube in order to activate those processes. Okay, that's what I mean by becoming a good citizen of YouTube. Right now I'm a YouTube serf. Okay. And way before I can become a YouTube king, that's the whole thing. I'm able to become a YouTube king, which means that basically I will master the entire funnel of this is how you get money from YouTube. This is how you get leads. This is how you get YouTube people trusting you, etc., etc. Okay. The problem is that there are services that because of where they are in the food chain, I need to be connected to them and learn how to use them effectively before I am prepared to pay for their real estate or to give them money. Okay. there are ways to do that. It's just that's a much slower process. That's a process of, for example, getting individual people connected to, say, my LinkedIn or my account, or ClickVoyager, or whoever. And the problem, the whole time compression problem, is that you need to learn how to do coding that develops trust quickly, because individual user to individual user exchanges in any medium that you can possibly use on the internet. I don't care. It's email, it's videos, whatever. Okay, but the thing is, the internet is designed to reach large masses of people quickly. So all the barriers, and there are legal reasons for this, all the barriers are against individuals reaching each other quickly. Okay? The internet is designed to help reach masses of people quickly. So all the legal barriers that are in place are designed to, basically circumvent the whole process of, for example, an individual email exchange, until you've verified in about 5 or 6 different ways per exchange that you actually want to make this individual interaction. Okay, so in a way, developing business individual to individual, the way Empower Network teaches it, is that developing business individual to individual, they tend to shorthand that as it just simply doesn't work. Okay? In other words, you're not going to get the result that you want quickly enough for you, let alone for us as Empower Network. That's what I mean by it doesn't work. Here's what I mean by being spiritually all, and even though I'm not a, legal disclaimer, I am not an affiliate of the Empower Network at this time. I want to be, okay? Want to be, made no secret of that, never contradicted that claim. Never contradicted that claim. A couple of places I've had doubts about Empower Network, and I've made those public too, but never contradicted the fact that I wanted to be all in with them. Okay. Where I am right now, even struggling, is perfectly okay as long as I am not making excuses. Okay, that's a tricky one. It's a tricky one. Human beings being who they are, they love to make excuses for, okay, this is why I'm not getting the result that I want. This is why I'm not getting the result that I want. I don't have the money. Okay? See, the thing is, do you understand? I would have absolutely nothing, ladies and gentlemen. I would have absolutely nothing if I stayed in that attitude. I don't have the money. I don't have the time to learn the skills. Okay? Me, I got nothing but time. Okay? Me, I got nothing but time to learn free techniques. Okay? Are my free techniques working? Yes. Boom. Okay? Are my free techniques working? Yes, they're working because, for example, I made Bryan respond to me. Okay. Never mind that he's in my personal inner circle and doesn't know the first bloody thing about how I intend to generate money. Never mind that he doesn't even participate with me in that. Okay, he just wants to support me because I'm me. Okay, in other words, he got enough time invested in the relationship that there are levels where he trusts me. Okay, and I love you, Bryan. I love you, but the thing is, I am not going to go to script in my YouTube videos because scripts have a limited usefulness. Okay, uh, and here I'm learning something very interesting because here I am just talking into a mirror. Okay, as a proposition for the experiment, this is why I believe that scripts do not work to help make me emotionally transparent. Okay, is that here I am, I have a script in front of me, okay, that is based on a video presentation that took me, 14 minutes to do, and that was doing it the long way around. Okay, so I tried to compress time by putting everything I wanted to say into a prepared script. I'm showing you why it doesn't necessarily work. Showing you why it doesn't necessarily work, because the human mind is constructed where if you're thinking fast enough, then you get to the place that you're outthinking the script, okay, and staying on script for like a professional television presenter, a TV actor has to learn the difference between staying on script and ad-libbing. Okay, there are places where ad-libbing makes sense. Okay, and there are places where scripting makes sense. And there's a relationship between the two of them. Okay, what I'm saying is that's a whole separate skill set. What happens to me when I try to stay on a script, okay, when I try to I look more unnatural, I look less transparent, I look stilted, because in order to make a script look good, okay, you generally need to go through things 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 20, 30 times. Okay, so here I've got a script, and again, I'm doing this at first reading just to make the point that the reason I'm not going to script myself in general, and the thing is, I may actually produce videos where I'm making the main points that I wanted to make in other videos and try and get the time compression. That like if you didn't see video A, you can get it from video B. Okay. That's as far as I'm willing to go. Anyway, where I am, even struggling, is perfectly okay as long as I'm not making excuses. Okay. The other point that I wanted to bring up to justify myself at the time, remember we're talking about more than a year ago, Sunday, June 2nd, 2013, the reason I wanted to justify myself at the time was everybody has to begin, okay, and by beginning, I'm learning that there's a certain specific definition to beginning anything. Everyone has to begin to get an objective result somewhere. Okay? If your objective result is bad, then check your premises, because the usual solution to that problem is you don't have the skill set. The problem is if you bang your head against the wall and get tripped up by the shadow and get frustrated and take offense at getting frustrated. See, here is what the shadow wants to do. Okay, here is what Screwtape, here is what Satan wants to do to you. He wants you to get so frustrated with the process of resolving the conflict between the the spiritual result you want and the objective result you want, that you drop the objective part of the process. Okay, or you get into the objective part of the process for the wrong reason. Okay. This gets back into one of my favorite definitions of evil. It comes from a Scandinavian language somewhere. And before we get into the difference between what I call genuine evil and symbolic evil, let's just define genuine evil for a minute. Okay, one of the definitions I love to play with, it comes from some form of Scandinavian language, and I've got I've got the translation in my head. It's not necessarily literal, but the term is Nithingswerk. Okay, Nithingswerk was a way of defining evil, and the loose translation for that term Nithingswerk is you can identify that such and so is the work of the devil because it is work which comes to nothing. Okay, for this would be considered work which is fruitless. Okay, Jesus cursed the fig tree because it was not producing fruit at the proper time. May you never bear fruit again. Okay, see the dark side of that exchange, and people like to use, like to define that theologically as if being the Lord Jesus Christ. The question was asked, why did he curse that fig tree? Okay, it's supposed to be some kind of great theological mystery. Why did he curse that fig tree? Okay, because people don't understand that there actually was a dark side, a personal, a human motivation behind the cursing of that fig tree. Okay, we want to hide behind the fact Jesus Christ is God. Now, I take as a primary premise that Jesus Christ is God. Okay, granted, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying not to lose the questions here. Okay, but what I'm saying is there's one of the things about spiritual warfare that people get tripped up into forgetting all the time, and this is how they begin to lose faith. This is how they begin to lose faith in the Christian sense, is that spiritual warfare always takes place in a move-counter-move exchange. If you know how to use it, okay, there are ways. Let me back up. There are ways to purify human motivation. You know what the way to purify any human motive is? Okay, never mind the whole question of judge not. We've covered that. Okay, we've covered that. It takes as a primary premise the idea that before the process of a man's work is completed, it is basically impossible to objectively judge, was this work for good or was this work for evil? Most human works are mixed. Okay, most human works are mixed. There's a good side to their motivation and there's an evil side to their motivation. Am I saying Jesus was evil when he cursed the fig tree? No, that's not what I'm saying. Okay, what I'm saying is there was a dark side to Jesus's motivation when he cursed that fig tree. What was the dark side? It was because he was frustrated because he himself was hungry. Okay? I'm the God of the universe. I'm supposed to have power over all of the physical objects in the universe. So, eventually, what I'm raising as a proposition, as a matter of human, is Jesus got frustrated because he was hungry, and that's why he cursed the fig tree. Okay? And we can spend all the speculative effort we want on, was the hunger itself a process of initiated by the devil, initiated by the shadow. Okay. But what I'm saying is, in terms of absolute intention, okay, he had submitted himself to God utterly. Okay. As an individual, he was able to contain the dark side of his motivation. This is how he did no evil, by cursing the fig tree. Okay? This is how he did no evil, by cursing the fig tree. Never mind if you don't understand what I'm talking about. It's just, it's just a little stylistic rabbit trail. We'll get there. Get there. Anyway, one of the things you need to understand about human motivation is, for example, it's very dangerous to say, I want to do good and I want to excise the evil side of my motivations. All by myself, I want to do that. Okay? The problem is you need God's help to do that. Okay, that's one of the advantages to being Christian. You need God's help to do that, because only God dealt with the sin problem. Okay, we're back to preaching, back to Christian frame of reference. Okay, but in general principles, it's always good to understand that there is probably a dark side to any particular motive you have. And one of the dangers of altruism, as I believe Ayn Rand was trying to say, was, well, my motives are entirely good or entirely selfless. Okay, so basically, my selflessness gives me the right to, for example, to compel you to fall without thinking. Okay, for one example, to throw money at me because of what you are feeling and not thinking. Okay, that is what I believe some of her primary premises and her misunderstandings about religion and about Christianity in particular were. Okay, we blame the whole process of other motivated altruism as, you know, if she did nothing else, she raised the argument that there is such a thing as an evil side to altruism. That until, you know, we think it through, until we understand that the entire equation, if you like, is there's nothing wrong with being charitable to another individual if that is what you wish to do. Okay? If that is what you wish to do. Going back to, well, okay, one of her flawed premises was, well, if God is not there, then as a human being, you know, if God is a huckster, if God is a human engineered game, then the ethical process of being charitable to anyone, you know, whether you're throwing money at them or investing time or whatever, is first of all realize that that is what you want to do. There's something about that person that is appealing to you, and there is nothing wrong with them having been victimized, quote unquote. Wrong is in allowing them to use your charity as an excuse for not taking action. Okay. You ought to give this to me because you owe this to me on the of feeling, not thinking. You owe this to me. Okay, this is what was wrong with religious systems as Ayn Rand saw it. So anyway, I didn't want to get involved with Ayn Rand again. Anyway, where I am, even struggling, it's perfectly okay as long as I'm not making excuses. Everybody has to begin to get an objective result somewhere. In order to make money, and here it is, in order to make money on the internet, okay, you need to be able to satisfy a given website's call to action about money, okay? In order to make money, let me explain the real purposes of an affiliate agreement, or, you know, let's just call it, for an example, why I will never make money with Amazon. Okay? Not because Amazon's process does not work. Amazon's process works wonderfully well. Okay, they leverage thousands upon thousands upon thousands of people. They leverage information that they're getting for free from one user after another user after another user on a mass dynamic level. That's how they get all their book reviews. Okay, that's how Audible.com gets all their book reviews. Okay. One of the mistakes that I made very early on in my process was that I made certain approaches to companies that were too big to recognize I existed. Okay, and even using all the appropriate channels, I wasn't actually able to come up with a proposal that made any sense because these people never understood my end game. Okay. Objectively, I didn't have the proposal worked out. I didn't have a script. Okay. I didn't have hard paper law to say I will do such and so for you. Okay. And one of the assumptions they make as a company is, you know, if you want to help us as a company, Amazon, on a mass dynamics level, then why the hell are you not an affiliate? I'm not an affiliate because their legal language for becoming an affiliate is too damn hard. Okay, it's a whole separate learning process to do business with Amazon. It is a whole separate learning curve to learn to do business with eBay. It's a whole separate learning curve to learn to do business with Big Fish Games, with Audible.com, with Click Voyager. Okay, at the end of the day, learning how to do business with Click Voyager is, and the thing, I have a very good relationship as an affiliate with Click Voyager. I haven't made any money from them, okay, because in order to make money from Click Voyager, I have to use a Click Voyager referral to get to an individual user and get them to trust me on an upsell. Okay, in order to do that, I need to learn things about generating traffic on a mass dynamic level, because who's going to join up with me if I know nothing about generating traffic? Okay, but I'm just trying to apply a principle here. In order to make money, you have to be able to satisfy a given site's call to action. Now, everybody starts out the whole internet process. Okay, I just got online yesterday. That's the process that I'm referring to. I just got online yesterday, says the user. Everybody starts out on the wrong end of somebody's marketing funnel. Okay. I know things now. I mean, for example, after a year, call it a year worth of effort. Okay. A year worth of effort on my own, without necessarily using everything the Empower Network has to offer me, because I have the small green pieces of paper. Okay. No excuses about that. I did not have the money, therefore I could not use the money here. Okay. Because I did not have the money, I don't have access to the higher end tuitions for techniques for generating more money. Okay, but after a year's worth of effort, I finally learned, cracked the code a few days ago, how to build my first marketing funnel to actually get, all of a given program, not Empower Network, but, program XYZ, running to the point that, everybody is satisfied with the transaction. And when everybody is satisfied with the transaction, that's when the money hits the table. Okay. I know how to build a marketing funnel. I know how to get the traffic. I'll have to pay for the traffic. That's the most expensive piece of the whole process. I will have to pay a third-party provider to get me the object of traffic, and a certain percentage of that traffic is going to convert. Okay, meaning they're going to click on the offer, they're going to like the offer, and at some point they're going to click pay now and actually program. Okay, join my list. That's when I get paid. That's when the first person to join that program. Okay, I'm going to be looking very hard for the first person to join that program, because I'm going to be willing to make phone calls to this person. I'm going to be willing to make other offers to them about what they really have hold of, and whether they decide to stay with that program or not. The fact is, then they're on my list. Okay, once they're on my list, basically they've given me permission for me to upsell them anything for as long as they remain on my list. It's just a marketing reality. That's how autoresponders work. Okay. So there comes a certain point when you need to learn what an autoresponder does and not to be annoyed with them. Okay. And how to be proactive about taking advantage of the unsubscribes for anything you're not really ready to take advantage of. There are certain offers, certain autoresponders have been on for months. Some of them I will never ever touch because they don't really have any interest for me, and I the laborious process of unsubscribing. See, that's one of the advantages to the economies of scale. Once they have you, the problem is it becomes a laborious process just to remember to unsubscribe from an autoresponder that you don't necessarily want to be connected to. Okay. I don't necessarily have absolute control of my email box in that sense. And that mess is okay. I just have to take account of it. Anyway, everybody starts out on the wrong end of somebody's marketing funnel. And the bottom line, again, I've reached the end of the script, so I will cut this off. This whole presentation. I've reached the end of the script. I am tired of excuses. I'm tired of hearing them. I'm tired of making them. That's why I decided to make a public statement. At the time, it was a public statement in favor of the training available from Empower Network. Okay. So if you wish to join Empower Network, please don't wait for me. Don't wait for me because I'm not part of them yet. I want your results to increase, okay, without reference to whether you're paying me or not. God's going to find my people for me, okay? God is going to find people for me. It's going to be without reference to whether they're Christians or not. It's going to be with reference to what those people have to teach me when they run into me. Okay. God is going to find my people for me. So if you want to join Empower Network, join Empower Network. Can't do it under me because I'm not all in yet. Okay. That's the bottom line. Go to whatever the title is. EmpowerNetwork.com. Just go to the site. I don't care which sponsor you get in under. Might get in under Lawrence Tam. Lawrence, I love you. I can't make head nor tail of the way you teach at the time. Okay? But, you're a wizard. You're supposed to be doing certain things in a certain way. Right? You're a wizard. You're supposed to be doing certain things in certain way. Just because I can't get a hold of your material, it's not a criticism. Okay, I'll get it eventually, but for example, most of your material is built, to be taken advantage of by the people who are all in. So again, by the people who have paid you. You're not trying. See, that's the thing. You're not trying to spend your personal time and effort on the people who are not paying you. That's why I can't understand you most of the time. Okay? So, this is just sort of a shout out to, to the Wizards of Empower and how much I'm learning over this process. Not bad for a year's work. Okay? Not bad for a year's work done the long way around. Anyway, I'm going to go back and see if I take apart another video. I'm going to try and try. Here I go again. Do or do not. There is no try. I'm going to set myself the objective trying eliminate the word I. I'm going to set myself the objective of making these videos shorter, okay? Making myself more concise. You know, never mind that I started out from the premise that that doesn't work. I'm going to take what I believe Bryan Mize intention was to heart, which is, capture people's attention in the beginning. Try to be as brief as possible. That's what he was thinking. So anyway, love you. Long sermon. Love you. Be back tomorrow, probably.